Hello, my name's Craig and I've been a volunteer with the Saanich Pulling Together program for about 11 years. We're a bunch of volunteers who try and restore parks to their natural state, and that involves a lot of removal of invasive plants. And today I'd like to show you one of the worst, English ivy. Okay, here we are at Gorge Waterway Park, and there's a lot of greenery around, but not all of it is good. We have some native plants here, but there's a lot of English ivy on the ground. And ivy is a problem for natural areas because it chokes out the native plants. It either kills them or prevents them from thriving. In the summertime, when there's hardly any rain, the ivy will get the water first rather than the native plants. Right now I'm going to take away some of this ivy by pulling it up, trying to get as many roots as I can, and we'll take a look and see what's left after we do that. As you pull the ivy up, you got to watch out for whatever native is there. For instance, here's a snowberry bush, and here's some dull Oregon grape over here. So then there might be more stuff in here. So got to be careful at the same time as working hard to get that stuff up. Okay, so after a few minutes of pulling up the ivy, you can see what the forest floor should look like. Here we've got some dull Oregon grape, some snowberry. There's quite a few Oregon grape in here. And if we get clearing all that ivy over there, that's what it would look like. This is why we want to stop it from getting in the park in the first place. It's a lot of work to do this, and you have to keep coming back time after time. So after you pull the ivy, you're going to be left with a bunch of ivy that you want to dispose of. If you have a small amount, it's a good idea to put it in a heavy-duty plastic bag and put it in the garbage, or take it to an invasive plant facility. But if you can't do that and you have a large volume, you can wrap it up, roll it around, and leave it on the ground or on top of other ivy, because there's probably a lot of it around. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to put this little bundle on top of this other ivy, and this bundle will die off in compost, and while it's doing that, it might suppress some of the ivy that's underneath. So we can only hope. Okay, here we are in front of an ivy hedge. And this hedge has a lot of ivy seeds on it. And locations like this are the source of all the ivy that's in the parks. Nobody ever planted ivy in a park. They planted it as hedges, up houses and whatnot. And it's the seeds that are the problem. These seeds are almost ripe, almost totally mature. They're dark blue, black. In January or so, the seeds start forming. They're quite bright green, and over time they mature to this black look. What we want to do is remove these seeds, and hopefully if you've got an ivy hedge, you will do that by trimming it. At this point, it's too late to trim, so it's best to just pick them and put them in a plastic bag. Okay, so I have collected some seeds, but there's thousands of others I haven't got yet. Hopefully I can come and do that. When you collect the seeds, put them in a plastic bag, put them in the garbage. It's much easier to do this with hedge clippers when they're still green. Trim the hedge, collect the stuff on a tarp, rake it up. You don't have to worry so much because these are all viable. They'll all turn into ivy plants, but the green ones won't. So if you've got a hedge, hopefully you'll trim it while the seeds are still green, and then they won't spread around to the parks. Okay, another thing that ivy does is it'll climb up trees. And here's an example here. It's gone up, oh, that one's probably, I don't know, almost 10 meters. And when they do that, they start to make seeds. And of course, the seeds fall into the forest. Birds eat them, transport them elsewhere. So that's one of the main things we want to stop, and we will demonstrate that in just a minute. Okay, this is an example of how ivy climbs a tree. It hasn't climbed up that far on this tree, but I'd like to show you how to take it off of a tree. And it doesn't matter how high it's gone, the process is the same. So basically I'm going to cut around the tree right at this edge and pull the stems down. So I will go ahead and do that. Now these stems are fairly well, they are small. They're, you know, maybe as thick as a pencil or something. And there's a lot of them. But you know, as ivy matures, the stems get bigger and bigger, and I've seen stems as big as my arm, and you needed to saw to get them off. Okay, now all the little stems have been cut at that level. Now I'm going to pull the rest of the stem off the trunk and try and get it away from the edge of the very bottom of the trunk to try and buy some time, because the ivy is going to grow up there again unless all the ivy is cleared. And often this happens in the middle of the forest and the ivy surround it, so it's good to put a little circumference around that. So I'm going to take the ivy off, or these bottom stems off, as best I can. The point is, it's kind of satisfying to strip the trunk of a tree, and whatever's up there will die off. You don't want to necessarily pull the stuff off the tree, because there could be something up there like a rat's nest or a wasp's nest. You might even end up pulling a stump on top of you. So that's why we leave the stuff above and clear it below and hope for the best. So to sum up, thanks a lot for watching today. And I hope if you have some ivy in your property that you'll take some action to try and reduce the spread of it. When you see a tree like this in a rural area, it's super important to get it cut so the seeds don't develop, because it just goes step by step, and if we stop it, it will stop spreading, but if we leave it, it'll spread for infinity. So thank you.